So it's your first guitar lesson. First off, congratulations on wanting to play the guitar. You're absolutely going to love it and you're going to be successful. It's so much fun. Okay, so first things first. Let's learn how to hold and balance the instrument. This is really important. I've got the guitar sitting on my right leg. The waist of the guitar is right here. And I'm going to balance the guitar with my right arm. I'm not shooting the bugs and I'm not shooting the birds. I've kind of got it straight out, maybe if anything, a little bit at an upward incline. And I'm not using my left hand to hold the guitar. If you use your left hand to hold the guitar up, then you can't play anything. So it's really important to learn how to balance it with your right arm. What I would recommend to do is sit for like 20 minutes a day watching TV or maybe your favorite YouTubers and practice getting used to holding the guitar and balancing it so you don't have to chase after it. So if you played piano, the piano is a fixed thing, right? You don't have to hold the piano down. It would be really silly if you had to hold the piano steady or you had to chase after it if it was trying to float away. We want to learn how to keep our guitar in a steady position while we're practicing and playing the guitar so we don't have to think about that. So that's the first level. So the same principle is going to apply to the acoustic guitar as well. I've got the guitar sitting here on my right leg. My right arm is balancing it. My left hand is free to play something. I'm not shooting the bugs and I'm not really shooting the birds. I've got it kind of straight out. And if anything, it's inclined a little bit upward. And I'm going to practice holding the guitar and sitting with it for 20 minutes a day. Next up is how do you hold a pick? Let's take a look. I'm going to do a thumbs up like this. I'm going to take the back end of my pick, which is this right here, put it right here in the crease of this first knuckle of my finger, and I'm going to close my hand down so it's at a right angle, just like that. Kind of looks like a little flag sticking out of a mailbox. The reason I want to do it this way is if I go to strum, and I want to use my fingers as well, my hand's already in position to do so. So one more time. I've got a thumbs up, I've got my pick, the back of my pick is going to go right here where this first knuckle is. I'm going to close my hand down in a loose fist like this. When I go to strum, nice clean sound. If you're enjoying today's video, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell for notifications. And in the comment section down below, you'll find links to my websites and other guitar resources. So next up is going to be our left hand. Your thumb's going to be an anchor on the back of your guitar neck. You're going to loosely keep it there, and you can kind of rotate your hand from side to side, as you can see. So sometimes your first finger is going to be closer to the floor like this, and sometimes your first finger is going to be closer to the sky like this. I call this open and I call this closed. But basically, you're keeping your thumb behind the neck, and you're loosely moving your hand like that. Now, there's obviously lots of different variables, but the basic idea is your thumb sitting here. You're not necessarily wrapping around like this, but it's also not necessarily way behind the guitar. As you improve and get better, you'll find different positions, but right here is good. Just a nice loose grip with your hand, and realize that your hand's going to rotate sometimes when you're playing these chords. So this is always fun. We're going to use a cool mnemonic device to learn the names of the strings. This is Eddie, 8, Dynamite, Good, Bye, Eddie. E, A, D, G, B, E. On the guitar, everything's kind of topsy-turvy. Our low E string is going to be this one, and the high E string is going to be this one. So the low E string is closer to your face, so even though it's not lower to the ground, it sounds lower. And the high E string sounds higher. Eddie, 8, Dynamite, Good, Bye, Eddie. We're going to kind of use a compass to learn how to play as well. Let's call this north, south, east, and west. North is up here. You're looking down at your guitar from the north. This is the south, this is the east, and this is the west. And generally, well, I guess always, people learn how to play the guitar starting on the left and working their way across the fretboard to the right. So we're starting on the east and we're working our way to the west. It's also kind of important to point out that up is down and down is up. This is down and this is up. However, when you're strumming down, you're strumming in the direction of the floor. So you're going to see that. It's a bit of a discrepancy kind of built into the process. The low E string is here, the high E string is here, but I'm still strumming down this way and strumming up that way. It's kind of confusing, but that's how it works. The next thing you might want to do is to start strumming the open strings and keeping a beat like this. Now you'll notice I'm not using my left hand to do this. It's really important to learn how to balance the guitar without using your left hand. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 and repeat that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This might take you a week to do that, to be able to balance the guitar, hold it without your left hand, keeping the guitar steady, and then strumming, keeping a beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, and get a steady beat going. That's going to be our next step. I should probably point out, if you're left-handed, just do everything backwards. Let's try to play some music now. We're going to play a tune with just the open strings. Check it out. I'm playing Back in Black from AC/DC with open strings. First is low E string, then I'm going to play the D string, and then the A string. What I'm going to do is play the E string first, and I'm going to stop the strings like that. Stop. Play the D string next. I'm going to pick down, up, down. Down, up, down. Then the A string, down, up, down. So it's down. Down, up, down. Down, up, down. Boom. Ba-da-bum. Ba-da-bum. Depending on when you're watching this video, keep an eye out for, or you can purchase my 3-degree complete beginner guitar course. It's a karate belt system that takes you from the very first lesson, like today, all the way to the intermediate phase. There's 3 different belts, and I'm super excited about it being out in the world. There's actually an awful lot of tunes we can do with only these open strings while you're trying to learn how to hold the guitar and balance a guitar. Check it out. Now let's try ROCK in the USA by John Cougar. E, A, D, A. So it goes like this. You'll notice I'm stopping between each one. E stop, A stop, D stop, A. E stop, D stop, A. Let's try Louie Louie. Well, that's kind of fun. But again, I'm stopping between each one. A, stop. D, stop. E, stop. D, stop. Can't Explain by The Who. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up. How about Satisfaction by the Stones? Wild Thing. Stop, stop, stop. If I play this with actual chords, you'll see how close you are to playing these songs. Well, that was fun. I was playing the same tunes with the full chords that you're going to learn soon. Speaking of chords, it's time to learn your very first chord. Here we go. We're going to play E minor as our first chord. It sounds like this. It's a sad sounding chord because it's minor. What we're going to do is we're going to add one string at a time and try to build the chord flowing to the floor. Now, as you watch my videos and get into the system that I teach, You'll notice I always talk about flowing to the floor. It's kind of the way the guitar works. We kind of generally flow to the floor when we strum. So we're going to try to build this chord here. So there's going to be 3 questions we're going to ask all the time. What finger, what fret, and what string? What string? Let's see. Open, low, E. Okay, that one's open. This is the A string. So I'm going to think to myself, okay, A string. This is my second finger. Now on piano, we count our thumb, but with a guitar, we don't. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got my second finger on the A string on the second fret. I'm going to play that note and try to get a tone. If you don't get a good sound, that's okay. It's going to come, I promise. If you get something that's kind of buzzy, you're probably not pushing hard enough. You need to get a nice clean sound. I'm making enough room this way because I'm going to add my second finger on the next string like this. Now I've got 3 fingers down. I'm going to keep them down so I can play these 3 strings like this. Now you might notice that these notes don't sound out well for you, and that's okay. I call that the shadow of a note. If it almost sounds out, but it's not quite there, the next one's going to be this open G string like this. If you find yourself always blocking the G string, there's a lesson on the channel about how to form a D chord, which will help you with strategies about getting your fingers out of the way to make those notes sound out. So you might want to check that out. I've got open low E, A2, and then D2, open G, open B, open E. And I'm going to strum. I know, you're thinking to yourself, mine sounds nothing like that. I can't do that. That's fine. Everything takes time. This is a good way to practice starting how to play chords by picking one string at a time, flowing to the floor and adding strings as you go. And just be patient. We're going to practice tone separately from rhythm. What that means is tone is trying to get a good sound, and rhythm is trying to make the song move forward. When you played the stuff with open strings, you were probably able to make the song have some rhythm to it. It was kind of moving. It's a little harder to do that with chords at first, so we're going to take our time and kind of build these chords with one string at a time. There's lots of strategies on the lesson channel about how to start to make your chords move faster. There's a video on the channel about smooth chord transitions, for example, and that will help you with this problem. I'm playing one string at a time and strumming. So that sounds nice. So what I'm going to do now is try to keep a beat with quarter notes like this. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So now I'm going to switch like this. Check it out. I'm going to put this finger here on the lower string, and then my second finger on the next adjacent string higher. So basically all I've done is taken these 2 fingers like this and spread them out like this. Here to here. So it's this to this. You'll notice the A string is not making a sound. We don't want the A string to make a sound. We want to keep it dampened. So we have E minor, and then the second chord. That one's actually called D6-9 over F sharp, and that's kind of confusing, so don't worry about the fanciness of it all. This is going to be Horse with No Name. Check it out. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So what I'm doing here first is I'm doing this with whole notes, which are 4 beats. 1, 2, and then I'm trying to switch. Now if I can do that, and I get that under my belt, and I'm able to do that, I'm going to try half notes. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. Now I'm going to try quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, switch. 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 If I were to strum it, it would sound like this. If you've gotten this far and you can do it all, that's great. But if you haven't, that's okay too. If it takes you 2 or 3 or 4 sessions of practicing to get this far in this lesson, that's perfectly fine. Some people get through the whole thing. Some people it takes a few times. Everybody has their own pace, and that is perfectly acceptable. I've seen kids and adults as well start really slowly and end up being better than other people who have started really quickly and then just didn't put the time in or work very hard, or maybe they just didn't really have it at all in the first place, and they don't go quite as far, quite as fast. There's no race. You just take your time and work through these things and enjoy the process. The next thing we're going to talk about are the 12 areas of focus for beginner guitar players. These are the things you want to be working on. There's a lesson on the channel that goes into this in great detail. You can check that out. The first area of focus is posture and balance. Keeping the guitar balanced and being able to not have to hold it with your left hand and getting used to strumming it without it falling over. Open chords. Chords like C and G and D. There's a bunch of them. You're going to learn how to play those as you start learning songs. You can learn some beginner songs and they will help you to incorporate these into your vocabulary. Smooth chord transitions. This is sort of the drop-off point for a lot of beginner guitar players. You can play some open chords, but you can't seem to go from one chord to another and keep a beat. Can't play any songs that way, and it's really frustrating. There's lots of strategies on this lesson channel to help you to have smooth chord transitions. Pentatonic scales. You've probably heard of pentatonic scales before. For guitar players, they're super important. There's tons of videos on the channel on pentatonic scales. Start with pentatonic lesson number 1, and I'll teach you how to begin to improvise right away. The 12-bar blues. It's a great way to jam with other people. If you sit down to play with somebody and they don't know the same songs that you know, you guys can play the 12-bar blues and start jamming right away. Look for the blues lesson number 1 on the channel. Iconic riffs. What is a riff? It's like a motif, a melody, a little ditty. Iconic riffs are really important to learn. They're really fun. It's little snippets. For example, like Black Dog from Led Zeppelin. There's a lesson on Black Dog on the channel. You can go over and jam with that. Power chords. They're not hard to play and they sound really awesome. Look for the top 5 easy power chords video on the channel. Music theory. It's not some big scary monster. It's basically learning the language of music. Try to start learning music theory right away. The more you know, the easier this is to do. Look for the music theory playlist on the channel. Playing a complete song. This is an important goal and you will get there probably sooner than you think. You should probably learn how to read music as well. I know there's a lot of great guitar players that don't read, but it's only going to make you better. So if you can get the Mel Bay method number 1 book and start reading music, that's going to be helpful for you. This is probably the best time ever to be a new guitar student. There's so many resources available between YouTube lessons and lesson courses. It's kind of unbelievable. If you can find a teacher to study with, that's also going to be helpful as well. Make sure you check out the video on the channel about what to practice. There's some other strategies on that video as well. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You're going to love playing the guitar and you're going to be successful, I promise. Just practice a few minutes every day and be patient. It's going to come. There's lots of lessons on the channel for beginner guitar players. Look for the karate belt system. A white belt, no stripes. You want to start there. There's also lots of songs on the channel too for beginner guitar players. I'm looking forward to helping you along the way on your path to learn how to play the guitar.